Contract or covenant? I know you're wondering, what is this that I need to talk about? Have you ever noticed that some of these things we do, they are crazy? We prepare for more of our wedding day, we'll go call friends, do everything, form committees, do everything, but we forget to prepare for a marriage lifetime. The pastor is there, the religious leaders are there, ready. We rehearse the vows, we plan the venues. You should look at the pomp and the color, flowers. We get all the nice dressings, We pick all the good colors. You should see ladies, you should see the guys with, some of us even wear suits for the first time, or maybe even go traditional, But very few couples stop and ask, what are we getting ourselves into? What exactly are we building? I just saw a girl, I just saw a guy, there's that crash that happens, and then we forget. Is this a contract? What is it? Is it just come we stay, or is it a covenant? But if you ask most of us, probably we're just looking for maybe not a serious commitment, and that question changes everything. If you ask yourself, is this a contract or a covenant? Then just know everything changes. Because the way you define marriage determines how you survive difficulty. Nobody said it's a bed of roses. Of course, it's a bed of roses, but if you know very well, roses have some thorns, and if you handle them without care, they will poke you. So today I want to talk about the foundation. And when we talk about foundation, everybody knows, from life to schools to buildings to projects. In a relationship, the foundation is not romance, is not chemistry, not compatibility, but foundation. Unfortunately, the other three, romance, chemistry, compatibility, they are the ones we always ask ourselves. Ask yourself whether you've considered foundation as important. Those are things that we just do without knowing. Let me take you back to early days in my marriage. And it's been a while now, more than 20 years. And there was a season that we disagreed constantly. Of course, we are different. Of course, we are raised differently. Of course, we see things half full, half empty. Sometimes small things like where we put our stuff. Not about big things, small things. I'm sure you can pick what you think is a non-issue, a small thing in your relationship. But it's a big thing. But I'm going to talk about three things: tone, timing, and expectations. Tone, timing, and expectations. And I remember one particular night, being that man who you can easily get frustrated. And I got frustrated, and when sometimes we get frustrated, our tone changes. It goes high. And in my mind, I was right. I was very right of what I was doing. And I said something careless. Of course, I'm not going to the details. That will be maybe for another day. If you want to know the details, just go to the DM. Everybody ask, what was it? If you want me to share the details, I have to see your responses. I have to see your questions in the DM. I was not abusive. I was not cruel, but I was a bit careless. I know your minds are running. You're wondering, what is that? Ask the question in the DM. And I'll never forget the silence that followed. When things are awkward, she didn't yell. She didn't argue. It was dead silence. Dead silence. You know what follows next. She withdrew. And you know what happens when someone withdraws. Communication stops. And that silence forced me to confront something. Of course, trying to reach out. I did not apologize, but I thought I was right, so confrontation begins. I was protecting my position. When you're right, how you feel like you have to reassert, you have to talk, you have to clarify things. I was protecting my position. Or I was protecting my covenant. I don't know. Sometimes you think you're protecting your position, your covenant. Because in a contract mindset, you fight to win. I want you to see that. If you got into a relationship like a contract, then you fight to win. You have to keep winning. In a covenant mindset, you fight to preserve. You know, when you look at contract mindset and covenant mindset, the contract, you fight to win. The covenant, you fight to preserve. Oh boy, that night exposed me. That night exposed me, and it changed how I saw marriage. But anyway, let me define the difference clearly, because I might have lost one or two of you. We are talking about contract and covenant. If you perform, I stay. If you fail repeatedly, I reconsider. You know, one leg is in, one leg is out. I'm always considering, I'm always on the move, and probably I'm looking around. You know, contracts are conditional, give and take. It's called quid pro quo for those who understand that language. You do for me, I do for you. But covenants are different. And that's what we take, especially when you say your vows. A covenant says, I am committed to you even when you're difficult. And it's easy to see other people as difficult. Even when we are in tension, we always look at the others. But we forget we are pointing at the other person with one finger and three are pointing at you. But you know, even when growth is required, we don't consider that. Now, listen carefully. This does not mean tolerating abuse. Those are two different things. If a relationship is abusive, that's a totally different thing. That's a discussion for another day. That's even crime. This does not mean accepting dysfunction. There's a difference between accepting. There's a difference between noticing and working towards change. It means the default posture is commitment. Whatever else happens, the default posture is commitment, not escape. And that's where we are stuck. One leg is in, one leg is out. I'm ready to go. And for those who understand the scripture, or it's your first time, you will read Genesis 2:24, and it says, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Rarely do you find a man getting married and stayed to their parents. They leave. And when they go, those who are married, they know how you become one flesh. It's literally one flesh. Notice the language there. You leave your mother and father. But some physically leave, but they're always consulting, they're always telling their parents everything. But they're in a visiting mode. It's not supposed to be a visiting mode. It's not supposed to be a sampling mode. There are many who say, oh, come we stay, come we try. You know, all the names. You can DM me, tell me all the words that people use there. Go to the message. People say, come we try, come we stay, come we, all that. But covenant means we are building something sacred. And I am sure everyone knows what a covenant is. It's binding. It's not a joke. We take contracts seriously, but covenants are binding. They are eternal. When the Bible says, till death do us part, that's exactly what it means. It's serious. I'll give you 3 pillars of a covenant mindset. And once you keep this, you will realize they help you grow in your journey together in a relationship, in courtship, in marriage. Pillar number 1, commitment before emotion. Before even you think that you want a relationship, you want to reach that girl or reach that guy, you need to be committed. Feelings fluctuate, covenant does not. Once you know you're getting into a covenant, you will work towards it. You will not feel in love every day. That's a fact. But you can choose to act in love daily. As I said, all of us are different. We are brought up differently. We squeeze the toothpaste tube from different angles. But we can act in love daily. But you can act in love daily. Love is not sustained by emotion alone. It is sustained by decision. Emotions are good because that's what helps you narrow down into one person. I'm not talking about multiple relationships. It is one person. So emotions are good. But once we are together, we have to make sober decisions. Let me go to my second pillar. Is unity over ego. In a contract mindset, ego survives. And everyone has an ego, and it can be as big as it can get. But in a contract mindset, ego survives. In a covenant mindset, unity survives. So when we put our egos down, unity survives. Ego, self. Unity, us. So, these are the questions we should be asking ourselves. What protects us? Not what proves I'm right. It's not about me, it's about us. It's not about protecting me, it's protecting us. That shift saves marriage. And I'm sure by now you're thinking, is that true? You're wondering, does it work like that? But my question will be, have you tried it that way? Is that the approach you have given it? My 20 years of experience, some things are just the way they are. Pillar number 3, long-term vision. So come we stay, come we try, does not bring out a long-term vision. Contracts focus on present satisfaction. Of course, I want to enjoy now. We'll think about future. I want to make sure I am safe. Covenants focus on future legacy. It's a long haul. It's not here now. You start asking, what are we modeling for our children? Of course, children are a gift from God. Nobody knows for sure they will have children. So, we prepare by faith. What testimony are we writing? Because I'm sure every marriage, every relationship, they want to end up having children. Of course, in this generation, some are not. So what kind of a marriage will we have in 20 years? When I look back 20 years, I can say probably this is what I wanted. Can you ask yourself that? That perspective changes how you argue. It changes how you forgive. It changes how you apologize. It changes everything. You are in it for a long haul. You're not just here for a quick, short stay. You're not here for a one-night stay. When we go back again to the scripture, Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. 1, 2, 3. I'm sure by now you know the 2 strands. The husband, the wife, the man, the woman, and the third is God. We cannot make it by ourselves. When things are tough, we have to stop focusing about ourselves and focus on whoever created marriage. When marriage becomes only horizontal, me and you, me and you, me and you, it becomes very fragile. It's always about me, it's always about situations. It's me or you. But when it becomes vertical and horizontal, it gains strength. We stop asking ourselves what we want in it. We ask ourselves what the owner originally wanted in this plan when he created the covenant. Therefore, this covenant is spiritual. It's not just legal. It's sacred. That's where God comes in. That's where the original author of relationships and marriage comes in. And sacred things require guarding. You know that. And if it's sacred, you guard it. You take care of it. You make sure it's not tainted, it's not messed up, but everybody has hands on it. And that we know very well. Let me say something clearly, because I know we are having so many questions. If you have a question, just go back to the DM, put your question in there, and we are going to discuss the questions. We are going to come up with a day when we go through all the questions. I don't know everything, but probably I can answer and get answers from everyone. What I know is marriage is under attack. Not just culturally, but spiritually. I am sure you know what I'm talking about. Because if the enemy can weaken families, he weakens legacy. And you know who's the enemy here. Of course, sometimes we don't want to talk about spirituality because it's a mystery to some of us. But it is important to know life is spiritual. So, if he weakens legacy, he weakens faith transmission. So covenant is not outdated. Unfortunately now, it looks outdated because how people come together, how people settle in relationships and marriage is totally different. So it has made this covenant look outdated, but it's very necessary. And too many couples are living married with a dating mentality. That's a phase that comes and goes. You have to settle down. Some keep options open, withholding vulnerability, threatening exit during conflict. Yet in every other areas of life, work, school, we work hard, we build foundations, we read, we research, we do everything. Yet in marriage, we don't think about covenant. That is contract language. When you leave all the what ifs. But covenant language says, we will grow, we will heal. That's a fact. When you come together, it's a beginning of something new. When two become one, when you do grafting, when you do bonding, when you join two things, they start growing together. If there is a wound, it has to heal. And maturity comes with time. But we are not walking away lightly. Once you have that mindset that I'm not walking away lightly, then I'm in here for a long haul. That kind of security creates emotional safety. And what looks difficult today, with time becomes easy. With my 20 years in marriage, some things that I face, and they are non-issues today, I could not imagine I would get to a point where they become a non-issue. But it takes time. You mature with it. Just like children grow, they are born, they are teenagers, they are adults. Exactly that is what happens. It creates intimacy when you are able to solve issues together. You come out as strong, you come out as winners, all of you. So, here's your challenge this week. Yes, your challenge this week. I want you to sit down with your spouse, with your partner, and answer this question together. Because sometimes we answer different questions, or we answer the same question differently and we don't notice. But when you answer this question together, then you will see the difference. Are we operating like a contract or a covenant? And be honest. If in the first place you never even thought whether you are in it as a contract or a covenant, then that's a good starting point. Just be honest. No defensiveness. Just reflection. We always stop to rectify things. We take our cars to be fixed. But in marriages, we just want to quit when things are not easy. When we are sick, we go to hospital. We don't give up. Then once you ask yourself that question, go ahead and do this. Rewrite your vows. Because some of us even cannot remember what they vowed. But because they were so much in love or infatuation, they read their vows anyway. So rewrite your vows, not for the wedding day, for today. What does commitment mean now? If you join a sports group, if you join whatever different group, they have rules, regulations, we follow them. But in our relationships, we don't have anything to follow. So ask yourself, what does it mean now after years of growth, mistakes, lessons? Rewrite your vows, not for the wedding day, for today. What does commitment mean now? Of course, if you just moved in together, then there is no contract, there is no commitment, there is no covenant. So that's a story for another day. That we'll discuss another day. What does commitment mean now? After the years of growth, mistakes, and many lessons, put it in writing. Speak it loud until we get to that point where we have to look back. But you know, as the story goes, stolen waters are sweet. So we are looking forward to another one. That will be stolen. That conversation alone can reset direction. Not jumping ship, not seeing the grass is green on the other side, but stopping and evaluating. Marriage does not drift towards strength, it drifts toward distance. Most of us can agree to that. Covenant is intentional, it is chosen. So it's not self-executing. We have to be intentional. We have to choose to live a covenant life daily. If you've been operating in a contract mode, and I know most of us know ourselves, or if you've been operating with no mode at all, it's just free flow, there is no shame. You don't have to beat yourself. Now you know. Awareness is the first step to renewal. Unless you're oblivious, unless you don't care, then that's a good step. But from today forward, you need to decide. You cannot just do things the same way and expect a different result. Just know, in marriage, in relationships, we are building something sacred. It's not to be shared by everyone. It's not to be exposed to everyone. And sacred things are worth protecting. Sacred things are worth taking care of, so that we know there's our part and there's the other part. There's our part, there's God's part. In the next session, we are going to talk about something powerful. So make sure you subscribe, you click that notification so that whenever we get to that powerful stuff, you'll be notified. This is how you help us get this word out there. In the next series, we'll be talking about power of words in a marriage. Because what you say is shaping what you build. Of course, we've learned in computers, in IT, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you put in, probably that's what comes out. If this blessed you, share it with your spouse. If you're in and ready for a change, share it with your spouse. If you're a parent, share it with your children. If you are siblings, share it with someone you think will benefit from it. But for couples, please watch this together. And if you believe in building marriages that last, subscribe to this channel. We are in here for a long haul. Please click that subscribe button. This is Unscripted Union, because marriages don't come with a script, but they come with wisdom. I'll see you next week.
This is Unscripted Union, because marriage, relationship, dating, courtship doesn't come with a script.